He is a member of the House Budget Committee. He is the deputy whip in the GOP leadership, and he is also budget negotiator in the last budget talks. He's Congressman Tom Cole, Republican from the Sooner State, Oklahoma. Thanks for joining us this morning, Congressman Cole.
Great to be with you.
So you and your chairman, Paul Ryan, you sat down, you negotiated a deal with the Senate Democrats, Patty Murray there. You got the budget deal through. You took a lot of political hits from the right, from conservatives on that budget, but you got it through. And the idea was we got to show that we can work with the Democrats. We can work with the president. We can get something done. And since then, the president has done nothing but call you guys names and absolutely destroy you and do what he always does. Now he's got his budget through, and has he offered any kind of conciliatory olive branch the way you and Chairman Ryan did in December?
No, absolutely not. But there's a big difference. We passed our budget. The president's budget's dead on arrival here. It's really an exercise in irresponsibility. It doesn't recognize the agreement that Chairman Ryan, Chairman Murray put together. It spends $58 billion more than the caps, and it abandons the one effort he had made in entitlement reform on chain CPI. So it's clearly a political document, and it's going absolutely nowhere.
Well, and last week before he started trickling this budget out, he said that the era of austerity is over, Congressman Cole. I missed the era of austerity. What happened?
Well, it must be great to have that White House budget to live on, because I don't think that's what the average American thinks. Their income on average is $4,000 per household, less than it was in 2008. We've still got unacceptably high unemployment rate. We've got a very low labor participation rate. We're running deficits. The good news is the deficit's a little over a third of what it was when he came in. The bad news is that's still over $500 billion for this year, which is bigger than any deficit George Bush ever ran. So, we're still going to have to work on the spending front, and particularly on the entitlement reform front, and that's again, one of the places that Chairman Ryan has really shown, in my opinion. He's actually demonstrated political courage, so the House Republicans, we just haven't seen from either the President or the Democrats in the Senate.
Congressman, there's a couple of stories out there this morning suggesting the Obama administration is set to announce another major delay in implementing some aspects of the Affordable Care Act. This one, it basically is designed to go after this promise that they broke about being able to keep your plan if you like your plan. There's some suggestion that they will allow you to take whatever plan you want. If you want to keep your plan, you can keep your plan all the way up until the presidential elections of 2016. So what are you, as a member of the House leadership, going to do about this? Because the president keeps delaying Obamacare time and time and time again. He changes the law without coming back to Congress and having a conversation with you about it.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more about this, I think, unconstitutional use and abuse of executive authority and constantly changing the laws. And that, to me, is the serious issue here. It is a little difficult for us to say, gosh, no, we want to insist that Obamacare happen sooner and that more people are affected. I mean, I sort of look on this as, a shipwreck where I want to save as many people as I can, get them out of the frigid waters. But
what this really is designed to do is to make the election of Democrats easier.
Absolutely.
This is not designed to fix any problem. It's just kicking the can down the road.
Absolutely. The person who ought to be the most upset about this is Obama's successor, whoever that happens to be, because he's dumping a huge mess in their lap. He's leaving America, by the way, militarily weaker for his next successor than he found it as well. But this is, all political dodge and postpone, and that's what this administration really excels at. Unfortunately, sooner or later, the bill comes due, and we'd be better off to repeal this thing. We're going to have I think a good alternative measure that the House will pass this year, so we begin to set the stage for the collapse of this legislation, because it is indeed collapsing, and that's the reason why it's postponed. It's partly politics, but partly because it's simply unworkable and creates terrific burdens for individuals and for the economy as a whole.
Congressman Cole, hold on. I got to challenge you on this a little bit, or just go back to something you said, because I like you. In fact, to paraphrase Will Rogers from your state of Oklahoma, I don't think I've ever met an Oklahoman I didn't like. Except,
we think we're pretty good folks.
Well, maybe Barry Switzer, but we'll talk about that later.
Well,
but
you go.
You just listen. I hate Obamacare as much as you, as much as, well, latest poll, 56% of the American people. But you just said the president is changing this law unconstitutionally. Those were your words. This is unconstitutional in your opinion. I don't care if it's a law that we don't like. He's breaking the Constitution. And don't you know what that sounds like to all of the people listening right now when they hear a congressman in leadership say the president is acting unconstitutionally, and yet you're not going to do anything about it?
Well,
the Constitution is very important.
First of all, we fought the law every tooth and turn, and we're
not the law, his actions
we're not
here.
The judicial branch. My opinion, is my opinion, but I'm not a lawyer, and it doesn't carry much weight in terms of declaring what is and isn't unconstitutional. And frankly, the Supreme Court historically has been very leery of getting into disputes between the various branches of government. To me, the easiest thing is to use the appropriations process to actually limit what the president can do. You can
Right.
literally write legislation, and I suspect we'll see some of it this year, that limits how that money is spent. Says you can't spend money to do X, Y, or Z. In the meantime, I would hope we've got plenty of conservative legal groups that. And the House is considering taking on the president in some of these areas judicially as well.
All right, I need to ask you another quick question
Sure.
about Ukraine. I mean, the United States, specifically Senator Obama and others, pressured the Ukrainians to give up their weapons and said that, oh, don't worry, the United States will be there for you if the Russians should get a little adventurous. Well, they have gotten adventurous. They're now controlling the Crimean Peninsula. What should the United States do? What should this president do?
Well, first of all, there's no question there's a range of military and diplomatic and economic issues that we could take. Economically, we ought to not only not go to the G8, we ought to start taking moves to kick Russia out of the G8. They've got a state-run banking system. We ought to start looking at frankly, doing what we're doing in Iran, put sanctions on their banking system. That's going to hit them where they hurt. Militarily, I wouldn't advocate a direct confrontation. Frankly, we didn't do that in Hungary. We didn't do that in Czechoslovakia. We didn't do that in Georgia. It's too near Russia. But you can offer aid to the Ukrainians. You can send in training missions. You can restart the anti-missile defenses in Czechoslovakia and Poland that this president, I think, unwisely canceled. We have the right to send a couple of frigates into the Black Sea. Bush did that in Georgia. We probably ought to do those kind of things. We ought to make it across the range of options we have clear that it's unacceptable and that Russia's going to pay a steep price for doing that.
Did we send the wrong message leading up to this confrontation?
Oh, I think so. I think the president sent the wrong message by saying he would do something in Syria, not doing it. I think we sent the wrong message by canceling the anti-missile defense programs in 2009. I actually visited Poland not too long after that and got an earful, and I think appropriately so, from the Poles about how they felt they'd been exposed to the Russians.
Yeah.
I think, we've mishandled Putin for a number of years, and I think we've tried to wish him into something that he's not. He's pretty old-style Russian dictator, and certainly somebody that ignores international law whenever it's, it's his advantage to do so.
Representative Tom Cole, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us today, and enjoy picking apart the president's budget today.
I will look forward to it.
It's Friday. It's after 5 o'clock. So this is now officially happy hour with the Democratic Party.